Hello, everyone. So, me and Phoenix are going to do a video today, and our topic is suicide and spirituality. And we're both going to give some of our what we've been through and what we think caused it, and how you yourself can get through it. So, I'm going to go ahead and throw it to you, Phoenix, and you kind of just try to talk about your experience and what led you to the point where you wanted to kill yourself, where you tried, and then I'll dive into mine after yours. So, just go ahead and share what you think.
Okay, so kind of a background, I think it was a lot of things. The main thing was a Christian church and what I grew up in and the way they kind of treat you, or at least in my experience, a lot of the people were really shitty, you know. I grew up homeschooled, so, and a lot of people, when I try and open up about this, oh, your life was a movie, compared to mine, whatever. And like, I stopped hanging out with people like that, but one thing I want to say is, no matter where you are, if anything leads you to want to do that, that's you. Don't give a fuck what other people say. See, different people feel different things for different reasons. So if people are going to think, oh, well, that's not bad enough to that, maybe not for you. You don't know what the fuck someone else has been through walking in their shoes. So I just wanted to get that out of the way first. I was homeschooled and very isolated and sheltered. And my earliest memories are being in my crib, probably too young to have memories, but my parents fighting and this anxiety kind of that was with me, and that stuck with me, and the chaos of the fighting, my dad's OCD, and they're both better now, thank the gods, really, but so it was that, and it really started when I was about probably 11, 12, 13 to 14, somewhere in that area. I had lost friends to suicide, and I'm not going to go into all that. I did see parts of it, so that kind of scarred me. And then the way the church treated me, people wanted me dead. People would tell me in a joking way, to kill myself. But those are the same people picking on me for years at the church, being fucking dicks, being judgmental. And then I was judged by the leaders for asking questions, and I got love, but I got judgment, this and that, and and just being kind of an outcast for having a different mindset, and just kind of only having a couple friends within that. That was my only kind of outlet, was the Christian church, sometimes neighbors. And so it was all that. My friend had a couple of them had committed suicide, actually. So that really led me to a point where I was in a deep depression. And I had thought about attempting it, or I would take like so much ibuprofen and hope I'd die. I never did. Sometimes I'd get sick. But my real attempt was at a church camp, because someone I thought was a good friend for years started spreading these lies and rumors. He actually got kicked out, and we're kind of cool now, which is whatever, I guess. He still denies it. He doesn't know that because of him, I had a buddy who's still my friend. He had made me a paracord bracelet. So once all those lies, like I was stalking the girls and all this stuff, and I was the nicest, I always have been, type guy, like I wouldn't hurt a fly at the time. So I unraveled that, and it had to be something supernatural, because I tried to hang myself, and it unraveled while I did that. No one found me, and then I heard people coming up. I'm like, fuck, I can't be seen like this alive. So I kind of hid it, shrugged it off, and I had tried later, within a few days, at that camp as well. But I heard people coming up, so I stopped in the middle of it. And I've tried to hang myself more than once, and sometimes at my house, and the same thing would happen. I tie Boy Scout knots, like tight knots, to the thing I'm attaching it to, and then a hangman's noose. I was taught how to tie these. So it had to be some kind of supernatural intervention. And through the years, I would struggle, and then later on it had to do with girls not feeling loved and accepted, because I didn't get that shit as a kid as much as I should have. I was told that I was showed it, but it never really felt real because of all the chaos and shit. Being with 4 other kids and just this constant toxic shit. And my dad had a heart attack when I was 10. So all this trauma just built and built. And then, so I got to the point for a while where I was just smoking weed, probably 14 to 17. It got worse, and I have nothing against it. It helped. It was a medicine, but I started using it as a clutch, and without it, I'd get back in that state. So that wasn't okay. But that was probably about 16, 17 when that happened, when my parents split. And so I had attempted sometimes after I moved in with my dad, and that it was a couple of times, or more than a couple. But after that, I kind of went through some healing, and I don't condone using psychedelics, but the psychedelic mushrooms I took, and I don't condone taking them. And if you're gonna, go to a Native American church or somewhere where you'll be supervised and stuff. But it really, when I took those, I was about 18. It really healed me from within. It was a bad setting, but at the same time, it really brought this inner healing of this stuff to surface. So after that, I kind of moved on.
Do you feel like you had a psychological blockage that perhaps the mushrooms helped you get through that blockage?
Yeah, I found out, I don't know by who or what, because I was trying to block it. I was in a bad neighborhood with someone who was just trying to get me to trip too hard, first time taking a psychedelic. So I would smoke up all the weed I bought with him. So he made me take more than I should have. So that kind of like uneasy, and then I was always an empath, and was with this girl, some of the spirits around just were, so, but at the same time I meditated on it. Because I had gotten into meditation probably about 15, 16, and that also really helped with the suicidal stuff and music. Oh my God, music. And a good buddy of mine, I'm still friends with him. If it wasn't for all that, I would have actually succeeded at some point. I would have been way more serious than just trying wing of the moment. I would have planned that shit out. But back to the story, I had been sexually abused, and I blocked out who it was. I was trying to fight it so much. I didn't take enough to where I couldn't fight it, but that came up. And then it made me really question myself and reality and my religion and everything. And I kind of stayed more towards the not esoteric, the Buddhist Christian, kind of like meshing the two, the more grace loving side of Christianity. And so for a while that, worked. It really helped me look at myself. And then same guy, or different guy, same church I grew up in. I got with this girl, and that was to get over an ex. And this ex I still love to this day. But I got with this other girl to get over her, because I had tried with several other girls, same zodiac sign, and this chick was a sociopath. And this was my last really bad suicidal phase where I had the thoughts. I didn't attempt it, but I was tripping out on shrooms. I took them, and again, I don't condone that, around her, and she had been fucking my best friend behind my back. I knew it. I got the intuition. I just didn't listen to it, and she was a sociopath, great at manipulating it. And they both told me while I was on magic mushrooms to take my own life. A guy I grew up in church with who was like a brother for 10 years. And her told me to take my own fucking life.
Did they say why did they tell you?
They were just being assholes. And like she was like, no, I'm not gonna cheat. She was like trying to deny that she was a whore. She had been fucking him behind my back. I'm like, I know this, so we're done if you leave with him. And I had like chased after the car because she had left a phone or something, but they tried to say I jumped on the back. And at that point I was still out of my mind. I might have, I don't know. But they tried to twist it because I was giving her a different phone because she had broken hers. She tried to blame that on me too, but not going to get into all that. So I went out there to give her a shirt because she got a new job and give her some of her shit just to be done with it. I had to throw out more stuff later on to get that to her, but just to have that out of my hair other than what was already packed up because she had moved in with me. And they told me to fucking kill myself. And they had told me it over text. And they kept doing it. This guy, the closest thing I had to an older brother for a while who actually was just using me. He did give back, but still, he couldn't make friends because he's a dick. So, he told me to fucking kill myself. And so did she. So that really was hard. But the ex, I still love. We're still good friends. We don't talk as much right now, but that's okay. She kind of talked me down because I had been telling her what was going on because I suspected this other girl of cheating. And I realized I was only with this sociopath in a situation I shouldn't have been in the first place. I'll probably have to do a video on later when I'm more ready to open up about that. To get over this girl. And every other girl before that, even the girl I lost my virginity to, was to this other girl. And she's not in my state, but was to get over her. And so she really talked me down. And after that, I kind of like decided, okay, you know what? There is no reason anyone should have this kind of power over me to where I want to kill myself because it's fucking someone else. Fuck them. And that's where, like, and I was on shrooms, and I think it has to do with the spirit medicine, but again, I can't condone it because it is illegal, especially since I'm considering going in the military to better myself more. But I think it really just opened this up in me, something I'd been taught to suppress because I was taught, don't do this, don't do that. It's kind of, in a way, standing up for yourself is bad. And so it just came up, and like, no one is going to have this kind of fucking power over me where I want to take my own life because of them. Fuck that. No, I don't care what I'm going through, what pain I'm going through. None of that shit. Fuck that. No one's going to have that kind of power over me. Ever. And from there, what?
When it comes to people, I feel like when we really feel attached to, when we feel a connection with somebody, we tend to imagine our lives with them. And then once you take out that from the puzzle that we made, then it really throws us for a loop because we've been imagining ourselves as being with this person as being intrinsic to our reality. And then once you take that person out, it's incredibly hard to break down all the thought forms that you created with this person in mind. I've definitely had that experience for sure.
Yeah. And that kind of is why, that's why I think the spiritual path, Buddhism, Hinduism, and all these other faiths are so important because they all teach, don't be too attached. You be attached enough to the love, but be ready for that to happen because you never know. People aren't always going to be in your life forever. You'll have people who are and aren't, or until they die or you die or don't. And, and there are people who you think might be good people who will fuck you over in the end. And so you should never, ever give someone power like that. Hold on one second. Something's going on my computer. There we go. You should never give anyone power like that. Ever. Like, have your own kind of love, man, for yourself. Focus on that. And, like, if anyone, I'm sure we threw it up on the screen, but if anyone's ever having thoughts of suicide, don't hesitate to call. I've done it, and it helped me. The hotline is there. It's not going to cause...
What's the number? What's the number for the hotline?
I have it right here. We'll throw it up on the screen, too. 1-800-273-8255. And it is, I can't stress how important it is. Like, or having someone there to lean on. Therapy if you need it. Find something, because I know what it's like. And, suicide, one of the only reasons it took so long for me to get to that point was because my family. I have had friends who did that, and I would never want to wish that on my siblings or anyone I care for or my friends. Like, there's always something at the party they won't fucking care. Yeah, they will. I can tell you right now, because that's what my friend thought.
Yeah.
They will miss you, even if they've done some really fucked up shit. And we've all seen this, at least from someone who we mutually know, where some guy took his life because the girlfriend didn't take him back or whatever, and everyone's like, "What? It's her fault." The guy thought no one would care, but something else I want to point out is point fingers to that girl or that parent who didn't tell him they love him enough, and that person's feeling fucking pain too. So it really affects more than just you. I would say, get help and help yourself. It's so important.
It's so hard to find unconditional love a lot of time in this world that we mistake love that's half-assed for actual, unconditional love. Or we feel like we encounter so many people that might feel love for us or show love to us, but there's these conditions. And, they'll only love you if you're this or if you're this for them. And really, when you start on the spiritual path, it's just amazing the magnetism that you have to where you find other people on the spiritual path who have gone through the same things. And it is really important to reach out, because if you're stuck in the reality that is basically hell for you and you don't reach out, then that will stay your reality. So it's very important to branch out both within yourself, definitely, and also within the world if you feel like you need people around you to support that evolution, that personal evolution.
Yeah. Definitely. And I want to say you're not weak for this. The strongest of strong people will go through this. If you're feeling this, you're not fucking weak, man. You're not weak. It doesn't matter. Men commit suicide more than women too, which is really surprising. And I think that's because we've been trained and conditioned to think you have to be strong, and we can't talk about this because you're not supposed to talk about our emotions. And you feel weak, you feel rejected, and it fucking makes men want to take it more because they just can't fucking handle it. You're not weak for talking about your emotions. People who can't handle it or judge you for it are the fucking weak, shallow bitches.
Yeah.
Those are
I
the
mean,
people who are weak.
it's because a lot of those people are conforming to the societal ideals, but when it
And
comes
they're not
down to
even
it,
feeling anything.
when you strip away that identity that they've just tried to hold up, you find that they're the most fearful people. You
Hmm.
find that they're far more afraid than you are, who are willing to accept, understand, and reach out and communicate your feelings in a way that will build you up to be a true individual and not somebody reliant upon social constructs that nobody really thought about or nobody can really fit into. It's just
Right.
the standard. You should never have to fit into standard. You should never try to fit into a standard. You
No.
should truly find who you are and go with that. And the best way to do that is to, try to walk some spiritual path, whatever it may be, but also walk a path of pure honesty with yourself and others. And don't be afraid to be judged for who you truly are, because that's who you are. Do not
Mm.
allow other people to basically inflict their own will upon you, their own ideas of what you should be onto you. Instead, become that person that you feel you're meant to be, regardless of what anybody says, like you said. And when it comes to my own experiences with suicide, did you want to wrap up your story, or do you want me to dive
Yeah,
in?
yeah. I was gonna say something else. Like you pointed out, like they're just conforming. It's because those people are afraid to feel deep down within.
Yeah.
They're afraid, and they've put up this wall, and this mask is bullshit. I know what it's like to sit a handful of pills you bought off the street or from the cabinet you know is gonna kill you, or a gun to your head, but you can't do it, and then to actually hang yourself. If there is a way out, it does get better. This is a permanent answer, whether we're reincarnated or not. This body, this life, even if you get another go or
You're gonna
whatever
be somebody
happens,
else. You're only this person once. You're only
yeah,
this
you only
person
live
once.
this life once. It'll get better. And one thing I wanted to add in is the kind of the path to non-resistance. Sit in that. Don't force it off you. Accept it. Listen to music, get it out, but get some kind of way to purge it. Let yourself cry, let the emotions flow over you, and it will calm down the storm. And talk to someone. Do something to let this flow over you. You don't gotta fight it. You gotta fight not to, in your life to live another day. Yeah, but do that through like martial arts teaches you, grabbing, pulling the energy of someone else, whatever. Not literally. That's an example. Let the energies wash over you. Accept it, because the more you fight it, you're just suppressing it. You gotta get down deep to the beast, man. You gotta go down into the dungeon of the dragon, so to speak. You really gotta face it and let it take over. It's gonna suck. It's gonna feel pain, but you'll start noticing where the root is if you do that, and you can really actually work on this.
That's very true. I'll definitely second all of that, because you have to get to the root of your problems. The only way to do that is to strip away what you've been conforming to without making the choices yourself, because you think that's what people do. That's what a man does. That's what a woman does. It's this or that. Um,
Yeah,
in reality, our human potential is so much more than our jobs and our social identity, than our family, than the people who surround us, our political ideals, even a lot of religious ideals, because a lot of religious ideals have far more to do with societal structure than they do actual self-realization. So
yeah.
I'll go ahead and dive in briefly into. See, I've talked about my stories as far as like my whole history and all that. I want to dive into particular experiences. Now, I self-medicated from a young age, probably 14, 15, alcohol, lots of drugs. I myself did try to overdose with just handfuls of pills and alcohol and multiple different drugs, but all at once, at least 24 different times. And for some reason, I kept on waking up, and it wasn't like consecutive times; it was over a few year period. But I will say that I went to I've been to the psych ward, I've been to rehab, I got bailed out of jail multiple times because I was doing illegal stuff. But what it boiled down to was that I was interested in things, even from a very young age, 8 years old, interested in things that trying to understand reality, trying to understand people, And I saw other children, other people, just believing things because they were told to believe them. And I started thinking about that at a young age. And then I was really interested in different spiritual systems. I started studying Buddhism first. And, once I reached a certain point after middle school and high school, I was like, you know what, nobody else is interested in this. There's nobody I can reach out to. Screw it. I'm just going to live for pleasure. I'm just going to live for getting whatever I can. And I fell off the spiritual path for a while. But while I was off the spiritual path, and, I was going through withdrawals after, I think it might have been before one of the rehabs, but maybe it was after, but that wouldn't really make sense because the withdrawal was so bad. I remember laying on the floor, and I just felt like I couldn't get up. And I had my limbs in all different directions, my head back, and I was just laying on the floor. It was so hard to get up. It was so hard to have any willpower at all, to even have the ability to sit up. And I remember staring at the ceiling, and I think that this is one of the times when, even as a young child, I would stare at the ceilings and imagine like every single paint spot that you might see on the ceiling is a different galaxy. And every time I look up, I often look up at the ceiling of everywhere, and I imagine every single little spot is another galaxy, which is true. Especially when we consider the multiverse with all the different universes. I mean, let alone this universe definitely, but the multiverse is gigantic. And then I think I was laying there, and I realized that, I'm a part of a grander mesh, but that means that I am the only one who can truly save myself. I had been expecting other people to save me for so long, and I expected other people to save me as a person for so long, but I wasn't reaching out. And so it was kind of a fool's errand. But the truth is you can only save yourself, but it's very good to have people who can support your journey. You can only take responsibility for making yourself into something. You can't be made into something, because if you allow somebody to make you into something, then you're just falling into another trap in society. So there's two very important things that I realized, and there's a few times when I just couldn't literally make my body move, because it wasn't because I couldn't literally move physically. It's because my psychology was so dead. Everything was just pulled down. I could barely breathe. There was no will to do anything. And I think that these rock bottom times really made me realize that to realize myself, I have to stop relying on the things that had become my comforts, the things that had become how I deal with things. I had to develop psychological methods and not just chemical methods to propel myself forward. I haven't been medicating. I still drink, but I haven't been medicating nearly as much as I used to. And drinking is just kind of a thing that I do. It's not something that I use as a personal, need to do thing.
Right.
But what I realized on those times on the floor, man, when I had no willpower, it feels like every cell in your body is just absent of energy. And really,
it's like it's just all dying from the inside out.
It's all degenerating. It feels like your spine itself is being sapped of energy, and all the energy is flowing downward, and it's never flowing up. Now I know about the energy up the spine and different chakras and how to direct energy up to my crown chakra. But back then, it was purely, I had certain ideas and certain thoughts of being an individual, making myself and reaching out to people that propelled me. And, those ideas have correspondences with the chakras, of course. But I think those are the few times when I'm proud of myself in a very specific way, that I didn't have any support. I didn't have anything to grab onto. I didn't have any spirituality. I didn't have any religion. I didn't have any society that I felt a part of. And it was just the idea that I got to get up. I have to figure out what my problem is, how I can fix it myself, and I have to reach out to other people to really allow myself to have an environment that is better suited to a spiritual being such as myself. And I have to research, I have to study, I have to figure out how people have done this in the past. What did my ancient ancestors believe was the root of the cosmos? What gods did they look up to? Do those gods still have a connection to me? Can I go beyond the physical form? As above, so below. So in a sense, it's like the gods go through this themselves in different ways.
Yeah.
But you have to be a function for yourself before you can serve other people. So you have to love yourself before you can truly love anybody else. But once you truly love yourself and you start loving other people, after you've reached out, then you'll find that you find that community and that function in life to actually help other people and to be a part of a community that is like-minded, whether it be over the internet, whether it be you have to drive a certain amount of hours in order to get to this community, or whether it's just finding a friend or two on Facebook.
Yeah.
I can't stress reaching out enough, and I can't stress study enough of what spiritual path you're interested in. And I can't. And the first and foremost thing is you have to figure out how to propel your will. And I've been through the same situations where I was attached to women, where I was attached to people that were very toxic in my life. That a few of them did not care about me at all, and I thought that they did. And I think
They were just using you.
And I've only had one person tell me that I should kill myself or whatever, but that was, it's incredibly. I don't think that people who say that realize what they're doing to a person when they tell them to do that. I think that they think it's just a nothing, or maybe they don't even care about your life at all, but they don't realize that they are undermining another being's potential, or trying to undermine it in a way that they will want to just end whatever that they can do in this life. And that is, it's, I don't really like to use the word evil, but if there is, that is something that is very evil by my understanding of it. And even our idea of evil is ridiculous when we look at modern, organized religion. But yeah, man, we're reaching the end of what time we have for this video. We might make another video on a similar topic, or maybe this topic, because I'm sure we have a lot more to say about it.
Yeah. But one thing before we go, if I may, is kind of the reason I chose the name Phoenix is not just the correspondence it has to my zodiac sign and all my stuff in Scorpio in the 8th house, but it is literally my path. Every time I have gotten to that place, or not that place, but a place of desperation, like serious fucking desperation, I've died and been reborn. And anyone, despite their zodiac sign or whatever, anytime it feels like death or just despair, you can rise above it. It doesn't matter if it takes years, days, hours, weeks, months. You'll ascend, and you'll become a better person. And from there, you'll do it again and again and again. And you'll get to a place where you may not have to do it anymore. Eventually, maybe. I'm too young to know. But you always are evolving and changing. Do it for the better and give your all. Because trust me, I've come from a place, like I said, where I've wanted to kill myself, like seriously. And it gets better. Please don't. Get some help. There are people out there who love you and have love for you, and there are good people out there. You will find them. They'll be on your path.
Indeed, man. I would definitely second that. We have to be constantly reborn out of our own ashes. So, hey, thank you very much for joining me today. It's kind of a serious topic, but I hope that we can talk about it more in the future.
Yes.
Me and you can keep on talking, of course, but we're almost out of time for what I can put up on YouTube. So thank you everybody for watching. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, or you're trying to reach out, need some advice, shoot it down in the comment section below. Feel free to say whatever you want. And you can contact me on Facebook at www.facebook.com/hunter.salazar. And you can reach me in a more intimate way through there. So thank you very much, and I hope all of you have a great day.